And welcome back to Love Your Food. This week we are doing a recipe for a breakfast bao. Now we've done bao before, so we're going to be using the same dough as we used in that previous recipe, but we're doing something a little bit different on the inside and a different cooking technique. Now I'd like to remind everyone we have an affiliate link with Chef's Temp if you need a kitchen thermometer. Please check out the link in the description below and use code LOVEYOURFOOD on checkout for 15% off your order. In the meantime, here are our ingredients. So here's our bao dough. We've got some really nice ham. Some nice thick cut ham, some eggs, and we're just going to use some American cheese. This is going to be like sort of a breakfast sandwich, fast food breakfast sandwich that you'd get at a restaurant, but a little bit nicer than that. And I mean, you can always spice this up however you like. So we're going to start by cracking our eggs into a container here, and we're going to just beat those a little bit. We're going to season them, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of white pepper as well. And then if you want to spice this up, you want some fresh herbs in there, if you want some Tabasco, some whatever you like, you can add that in there. And you're just going to beat those until they're pretty much uniform. Now we get really fresh eggs, so sometimes it's hard to completely break up the albumin in there. So sometimes you get those little patches of white in it. That's just fine, whatever you want. So we've got our nice hot pan with some butter. We're going to pop in the egg. We don't want to cook it super, super hot or it'll burn. So we're just going to let that cook, and you can do that trick you do with all omelets where you just pull the sides away and let some flow underneath, and that makes it nice and fluffy. Now for our American cheese, we're going to slice them in half and then just fold those halves in half. We do like to have some nice gooey cheese in there. And then we're going to cut everything to be roughly the same size as that cheese because we just want everything to fit in a nice stack inside the bao. And so we're just going to cut the ham. You can see nice thick cut ham. And we're just going to cut that the same size as the cheese. And then once the little patty of egg comes out, we're going to cut that the same way. Now once you have one piece of ham cut, it's really easy just to cut the rest of them off the same template. And this just makes it super, super easy to keep everything the same size in your bao. So here the eggs are almost ready. You see there's still a little bit of damp stuff on top there. We're just going to cover that, make sure it cooks all the way through, and there you go. That's all nice and done. It's cooked completely. You don't want it to brown too much or anything. You don't want to get too tough and rubbery or anything. So it's just, you want it nice and delicate. And then we're going to cut it in the same shape as everything else. So it's going to be cut the same size as the ham and the cheese. And then once that's done, we're just going to assemble our little sandwiches here of breakfast materials. So that's our egg, our cheese in the middle, and the ham on top. Now, when we put these in the bao, we want the ham to be on the bottom when we're cooking it. So we're going to take our dough, and I will put a card somewhere around here to show you our older video on bao. We're using exactly the same technique for the dough as we did in the previous video. Now you want to run your wet fingers around the outside just to give it a little bit of, to be able to seal a little easier. You put in your little stack of breakfast materials, and then we're just going to seal it up a little different from most because we're just going to seal it into this little sort of square package and make sure it's all sealed. You just want to pinch it to make sure that there's nothing going to escape, especially you don't want that cheese to run out. You want it to stay inside. Now this is a yeasted dough, and you can let it proof for a little bit longer, but honestly, we just want to get this steaming. But we're going to steam it a little differently. We're going to put it in a pan and get some color on the bottom. And once the bottom is nicely cooked and a little bit crispy, we're going to pour in our water, and then you'll see the steam come up. We're going to put a lid on it and steam them that way. So these are going to hit the pan. While the bottom is cooking, the top is going to puff up from the heat. So they're going to get nice and fluffy on the top. And the bottom is going to get this beautiful golden brown color. And you'll see when we come back in a little moment here that they have swollen up. They've puffed up quite a bit. So once that color on the bottom is nice, we're going to put the water in there to steam them. And until most of that water is gone, honestly. Now, this will not get rid of all that nice caramelization on the bottom of these, but you see they've puffed up even further from the steam. And these are just about ready to go, honestly. If they seem a little underdone, you can steam them a little bit longer, but you don't want them to burn for sure. But you have that beautiful color on the bottom. And then you can see how much they've puffed up in there. They're nice and puffy on the outside. They've got that sort of skin, that nice sort of chewy skin on the outside from the steaming. And on the inside, they've got that melty cheese and the ham and the egg. And it's really, really delicious. Now, we had a little bit in this first one, actually, a little bit of uncooked dough in the very, very middle of that bottom part. But they came out really, really well. They were absolutely delicious. Are really nice. We sort of did them for breakfast for dinner. They were really, really good, nice and fluffy and really tasty. If you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. We also have a Patreon if you'd like to support us there. I'll put a link to that in the description below. And remember to love your food.